Hello there and welcome to another Coffee with Colm, and thank you for joining me. Somebody asked me recently, how do I put my Coffee with Colm episodes together? Where do the ideas come from? And what I do is, as I bump into a phrase, whether I read it or hear it or a word somewhere that piques my interest, I'll make a note of it in my phone, and then when I sit down to prepare a Coffee with Colm episode, I'll skim down through that list of possible blog post titles and see what jumps off the page. And for today's Coffee with Colm, two things jumps off the page, largely around the same theme, asking the question, why are you here? Why am I here? And then while I was procrastinating, yes, I do procrastinate. While I was procrastinating on starting this, I was flicking through Facebook and stumbled across a particular video, which also caught my interest, and it added a third dimension to what I'm about to talk about. And the first phrase that I came across reads, just as surely as your DNA differs from every other person's on the planet, so does your individual destiny. Just as surely as your DNA differs from every other person's on the planet, so does your individual destiny. You can never be me, and I can never be you. And I'm sort of fed up with too many people out there that I'm listening to saying they're going to be the next Tony Robbins, the next Richard Branson, the next Martha Stewart or whatever. And I'm thinking, do you know what? Those positions are taken. The universe is sorted in terms of Tony Robbins and Martha Stewart and Richard Branson. What it's not sorted about at this moment in time is in terms of you and me. You got to figure out what you're about. You're not Tony Robbins, Martha Stewart or Richard Branson. You never will be, and they'll never be you. So you got to figure out who you are, and you got to be the very best version of you. And that's what the universe is asking of you. Figure out who you are, what you're about, and be the very best version of you that you can be. Following on from that, I came across a similar theme in a devotional, The Word for Today, and the author was talking about the Austrian physicist Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. And Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote in his book, everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life, a concrete assignment that demands fulfillment. Therein he cannot be replaced. Everyone's task is as unique as his specific opportunity. I think that's just wonderful, and it is very similar, albeit different words, to the first phrase that I spoke of earlier. The author, who references Viktor Frankl, goes on to say, if you don't move when the light is green, you'll spend your life waiting for the right moment, or a time when most people will understand before you move forward, and you'll end your life looking back with regret. Don't let that happen to you. You see, let's be honest, there is no right moment. There's never going to be a moment in life when all the stars align, when all the lights are green. There's only now, this moment now. So if you're going to be the very best version of you, you've got to start that process now. And the third strand that I want to weave into this Coffee with Colm conversation is where I was procrastinating, to be honest, starting this piece, and stumbled across a video of an address at Perth University in Western Australia by Tim Minchin. Tim is a very famous Australian comedian and a really interesting character. But anyway, he proffers 9 things that you and I should learn about life to make life that little bit more interesting, that little bit more fun. And number 6 in his 9 was be a teacher. He's suggesting to everybody that we should be a teacher. Of course, some people are paid professionals, paid teaching professionals, and that makes perfect sense. But Tim isn't just talking to paid teaching professionals, he's talking to you and I, and he's suggesting that we should teach anyway. Even if we're not teachers, we should learn to teach, and we should teach anyway. And you're thinking, well, Colm, what am I going to teach? I have no idea what you're going to teach, right? But what are you passionate about? That's what you should be teaching. Because if you teach somebody something that you're passionate about, don't you leave a legacy? Doesn't mean that you've made an imprint on this world as you pass through. If you can teach some skill that you've learned, it could be a music skill, it could be a soccer skill, it could be a knitting skill, it could be a mathematics skill, it could be, I've no idea what it could be. Because if you're passionate about something, you're probably really good at it too. So you should teach that, whatever that is, teach it to somebody else. And that's what I refer to as 100-year work. If you can teach somebody something, it means they carry that with them. The likelihood is they'll pass it on to their children, and their children will pass it on to their grandchildren. That's 100-year work. So I absolutely agree with Tim Minchin. We should be teachers. You and I should be teachers. So in conclusion, I'd like to remind you of the 3 things that I'm asking you to consider in this next week, please. Number 1, you have a destiny to fulfill, and the universe is waiting for you to turn up. Number 2, there is no right moment, there is only now. And number 3, what you learn, teach. And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm. I hope and trust as ever you got something from it. It's important that you consider what's been shared here today and apply it into your thinking for this next week. And then equally as importantly, please come back next week. We'll share another coffee together and I'll ruminate on some other aspect of life and business. Between now and then, get some great coffee, get some fresh air, get some R&R. If you spend a lot of time alone, I recommend you go and meet some people. Conversely, if you spend too much time with people, I recommend you take a little time alone and get to know yourself. And then when the time is right, and only when the time is right, get your head back in the game, get organised for the week ahead. Remember, you have a destiny to fulfill. Make next week count. I'll see you here this time next week for another Coffee with Colm. Sláinte. I love great coffee. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.